And a very pleasant Thursday evening, everybody. Chief Meteorologist Mark Henderson here, broadcasting live from the Weather Hub here on what is turning out to be a very eventful Thursday evening right now. I've got a couple severe thunderstorm warnings out there, a couple with some pretty serious ramifications. Let's show you the latest radar picture here right now, and as we zoom things out, you'll be able to see the two severe thunderstorm warnings that are presently in effect. There's one for northern Winnebago County. That'll go until 5 o'clock tonight. Also, one for portions of for northern Lee County. That also goes until 5 o'clock here this evening. So let's radar. You notice the one that's presently just to the east of Dixon over Lee County. It says considerable, and that means that's the National Weather Service's assessed threat level with this particular storm. Usually there's kind of your baseline severe thunderstorm warning. Then it goes up to considerable damage possible. That means this is kind of a level up from your basic severe thunderstorm warning. And that's because of what you see right here, the 1.75 inch in diameter hail that's possible. So that's at the very least golf ball size, maybe even a little bit more than that. Earlier on, that number was up to 2 inches in diameter. Let's see if we can zoom in here and take a look at some of the towns that are in the path of this storm. Lee and Shabana, you would be in the most immediate path. Again, thankfully, most of this is over generally rural parts of Lee County. With that said, I do still think that folks in Ashton, you could be on the receiving end, especially just south of Ashton, you could be on the receiving end of some of those very large hailstones. So that's the situation in Lee County. But again, though, if you are in the town of Lee or also in towards Shabana, which is obviously in DeKalb County, this could be a problem for you, especially as we get closer to 5:30 should this storm hold together. Another thing to note, this is producing some extremely heavy rainfall, and it's only moving at about 15 miles per hour. So that's the first storm that we are worried about here right now. The other storm, as we zoom things out just a little bit, you will see a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued for folks up in northern portions of Winnebago County. This storm earlier on originated near Rockton here, has the capability of producing similarly some golf ball size hail. Strongest part of this storm at this particular moment finds itself just to the south of downtown Rockton, basically to the west of Roscoe, south of Rockton, north of McChesney Park. So right along the Illinois Route 2 corridor, that's where we've got some problems with that particular storm. This storm is moving a little bit faster here, but will also be capable of producing some extremely heavy rainfall. Rockton, you will expect this storm here within the next, it's already storming here in Rockton, but the worst of the storm will reach us here sometime within the next 20 minutes to a half hour. Again, some very heavy rainfall will be possible with this as well. In fact, if we want here, why don't we take a look at some of the rainfall estimates that may be showing up here already from Doppler radar here, because these are producing some extremely heavy downpours. But let's actually also show the potential for hail within these particular storms, as they are certainly growing in strength and growing vertically in the atmosphere. We can actually turn on what's called echo tops, and that will give us an estimate here of just how tall the storms are in the atmosphere. Not able to pull up that product here just yet, but we'll kind of work through that here as we go through time. But Roscoe, Rockton, South Beloit, McChesney Park expect to be in the path of this storm here in very short order. Let's widen the view for you here. We've got additional storms that have begun to develop out across northern portions of DeKalb County, one also in southwestern McHenry County, and then another little cell showing up right now over in western Winnebago County. That right now is not severe, but it is going to be watched very closely for the possibility that it could possess some severe characteristics in the moments ahead. Right now, for folks in north central and northeastern Lee County, you've got considerable potential for severe thunderstorm damage basically right along the Ogle and Lee County lines, and then heading Winnebago County. And this is going to go up until 5 o'clock. The threat for this particular storm would be hail in excess of an inch. Particular storm would be hail in excess of an inch in diameter. So you're talking probably about half that dollar size hail with 1.25 inch hail. That's just as the storm out across portions of Lee County, but strong storm capable of producing some very large hail as well as some very heavy rainfall. Continuing to get new scans. In fact, I'm going to change the radar here, and we're going to try to get a look at this from the Chicago radar. Problem is right now we're looking at the Quad Cities radar, and these storms are moving away from that particular radar site. So I want to see if we can take a look at the Chicago radar site or even the Milwaukee radar site, because these storms are heading a little bit closer to those sites. So let's try to go into Chicago here, and or let's see if we can find Milwaukee. But in any case, here we go. This is going to be the Milwaukee site, and we can actually see a storm beginning to line up just to the north of Madison as well. So it's going to take a while for the radar to scan just a little bit here, and eventually we'll start to get some data that will populate here on the map. And there you see it right now. This gives us maybe a better estimation of what's going on, because these storms are now starting to move a little bit closer to the actual radar site. So there's the storm that we see up towards or down toward Genoa. Movement on these very slow to the northeast at only about 15 miles per hour. So these are going to be very slow movers, and because of that, that's why we do find ourselves very concerned about very heavy rainfall as well as some localized flash flooding. And we'll have to go and take a look and see if that is showing up to be a concern, at least where we stand here in the Rockton area here in short order. I can hear the rain just outside my basement window coming down feverishly, to say the very least. Storm not looking quite as impressive on radar as maybe it was just a few moments ago, which is certainly a positive piece of news, but it is still an extremely strong storm. Let's draw a path on this here and talk about some of the towns that may be in the path of this particular storm. The worst of it right now is just to the south of downtown Rockton, and we'll estimate that it will reach South Beloit here. I think 514 might be a little bit late. I think it might get there a little bit earlier than that. But again, that does go to show just how slowly these cells are moving to the northeast. Rockton, we will bear the brunt of this storm here shortly. McChesney Park, you're likely seeing some extremely heavy rain right now, as are folks over towards Sherland and Harrison in north central and northwestern Winnebago County. Durand, you're pretty much done with this storm for the time being. Still looking at a considerable threat for severe weather with the storm that's down in north central, generally rural portions of Lee County. Again, if there's a silver lining to be found, it's that these storms are presently over largely rural territory east of Dixon, north of Amboy, just north of, let's say, Sublette. But I would be concerned if I would be living somewhere in the Ashton area. We could expect a threat there here in rather quick order here. Let's draw a track on this one. Again, the town of Lee, that's you're looking at about 519. This is going to be a pretty close call for Pawpaw. I think it passes just to the north of Pawpaw. But then for folks in DeKalb County, I want you to be ready, especially the part of DeKalb County south of Interstate 88. We are going to have to watch very closely for folks in Shabana, Hinckley, maybe over toward Waterman as well. City of DeKalb going to be a very close call. This storm moving a little bit more straight west to east, and so that may favor folks in the city of DeKalb proper. But folks in the city of DeKalb, I certainly would encourage you to be ready to seek shelter here in short order, as this storm will at least come close to folks in that city. Rochelle, same story. Worst of the storm still looks to be just to your south, but it is certainly something that's going to be worth monitoring. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has been just posted for Winnebago County. This is going to include the city of Rockford. You can see that new polygon that's showing up. Let's widen the view here for us just a little bit. You can see that new polygon that's just shown up here within the past couple of seconds. It's this one here, which includes downtown Rockford, and this will also include Loves Park, McChesney Park. This will include Cherry Valley. This basically includes the entire Rockford Metro. So that severe thunderstorm warning is going to go for until probably 5:30 or thereabouts. Looks like 5:30, yes. And the same threat with this storm would be 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as half-dollar size hail. So, folks, in the city of Rockford, you're under the gun from this storm right now. An additional storm is working through the northern portions of Winnebago County. That's McChesney Park, Roscoe, Rockton, South Beloit. Folks in Beloit, you'll want to be ready too, because that storm is moving northeast, and that could be affecting folks there here within the next 20 minutes to a half hour or thereabouts. So the picture getting very, very active. We're looking for some good news here, and there is some good news to be found. We're going to turn this radar off, and we're just going to turn the more general radar on. You can see all these individual cells. That's not necessarily a huge deal, but we'll turn that telestration off. But as we widen the view for you, you'll actually see that there's a little break in the action. And that break is likely, or is going to be a break likely, although I'm not necessarily sure how long that break will be, because the expectation here is that we're going to see more storms start to fill in between what we see right now in Winnebago County down through Lee County, and then the activity that's presently getting its act together across east central portions of Iowa. So what we'll do now is we'll turn the radar off, and let's go into model mode right now. Let's turn on our high resolution forecast model. We call it Precision Cast. We're going to turn that on, and we are going to take a look at an hour-by-hour snapshot of what we are likely to see here moving forward. So we're downloading it right now. Here's where we stood at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and that's kind of when things were just starting to get organized. Here we are at about 5 o'clock, starting to show things ramping up just a little bit. And then watch what happens in the hours ahead. That activity over eastern Iowa, very likely to be picking up here over the course of the next few hours. Let's widen the view for you so you can get kind of a bigger picture of that development taking place. Oh, we just had it here. There we go. I'm going to widen the view and take a look farther to the west. Let's see. Can we see it now? Yeah, sure we can. So that's the activity that's developing out across portions of Iowa. So what's going to happen with that as we move forward through the evening? So here's where we are at 5 o'clock this evening. And let's just, every time we advance this through, it's 1 hour in advance. So here we are now at 6 o'clock this evening. Notice additional cells starting to show up across portions of Ogle County, while that complex in eastern Iowa starts to gather some strength and move eastward. Here's where we'll step forward to 7 o'clock. And you'll notice there will be some intensifying taking place as that enters northwestern portions of Illinois, and then a similar cluster starting to line up right along the I-39 corridor from Rockford down through Rochelle and then down toward LaSalle, Peru. That's 7 o'clock tonight. Here's 8 o'clock. Sometimes it takes a little time for this to load. Now, you'll notice that the intensity of the storms might not necessarily be as impressive by the time we get to 8 o'clock tonight, but you'll notice that the overall structure becomes more of a complex, not just these individual cells. When that happens, you start to worry more about some widespread rainfall and some rather organized gusty winds. So we may be dealing with a hail threat right now, and perhaps even an isolated tornado threat. That's something we can't completely put off the table. But I think we're going to eventually transition more over to a wind threat. And then from that point forward, we're going to transition more to a heavy rainfall threat. Here's where we are at 9 o'clock. Now notice off to the west, we start to see some more building taking place of this activity back into eastern portions of Iowa. And what's concerning for me here is that as we go through that period of time, once we get to 9, 10 o'clock, the back edge of that rainfall doesn't move. The rain just keeps going. And it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going. And so that's why I am concerned about the possibility of some flash flooding and maybe some fairly widespread flash flooding. Here we are at 10 o'clock. You don't see a whole lot of movement here. The back edge is still out across eastern portions of Iowa, and the entire state line still on the receiving end of some pretty good rainfall. We'll go forward another hour here. Let this load. Here's 11 o'clock. You start to see a little movement eastward, but not much. Here we are, and then at midnight. And again, the computer probably having to do with some of the rainfall activity that's going on here right now. We're having some connectivity issues here with our internet. But here we are at midnight, still dealing with heavy rainfall across a very significant chunk of northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin. Here we are at 1 o'clock. Same story, not getting a break here. In fact, more storms look to show up along the US 20 corridor from Rockford out toward Galena and even toward Dubuque. 2 o'clock in the morning. Let's let that load up here. Same story, although we start to see things turn a little bit more scattered. But here we are right now, it's 5 o'clock. It is conceivable that we could have rain close to nonstop and heavy rain at times because of the tropical nature of the atmosphere. We could have this going for a good 8 hours or more. Thunder, lightning, you name it. But of course, flash flooding is very much on the table. And I think, let's break this down in kind of two parts. The severe weather threat that we have right now, that's going to be a threat here for the next 3-4 hours. After that, severe weather threat might go down, but the flooding risk is likely to go up. So here we are at 3 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock in the morning, we might be closer to shutting this down here once and for all. But overall, still do expect there to be a very decent chance for showers and thunderstorms over the southern 2/3 of the region here, even at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning. Might start to see a couple of breaks here as we get closer to sunup, although this new run of our high resolution model not only suggests rain continuing across the southern 2/3 of our viewing area, but additional thunderstorms lining up out across eastern portions of Iowa, and those may be a concern for us here as we get into the morning. This is kind of a new development, and this is something that I'm going to have to watch out for carefully, because this has not been showing up in our modeling here until just recently here. So could there be another round of storms come tomorrow morning? That remains to be seen. But that's an interesting development and somewhat of a worrisome development as well. The last animation we'll show is that weakening trend as we get closer to about 9 o'clock. So we could very well be in for several hours of some very, very heavy rainfall. All right, let's go back to the radar picture here, and let's look at some of the latest severe thunderstorm warnings and anything else that's ongoing. A new warning has just been issued for folks in eastern Lee County and touching right up to DeKalb County, so not including DeKalb County. We do again have the severe thunderstorm warnings, one for northern Winnebago County, which is going to expire in 2 minutes. Another one, though, that was just issued for one including the Rockford Metro. That's going to go here until at least 5:30. Might be, actually, it looks like it's going to go until 5:45 this evening. The lengthy duration of these severe thunderstorm warnings really leads me to believe that these are going to be producing some extremely heavy rainfall because of how slowly they're moving. Again, these are only moving at about 15-20 miles per hour or thereabouts. So heavy rainfall, flash flooding are going to be both significant concerns. In fact, what if let's see if I could turn on the flash flood warnings here and see if any of those have been issued at this point in time. We do not have any flash flood warnings that have been issued just yet, just severe thunderstorm warnings. But that is going to be something that we'll have to be on the lookout for as we continue to move forward over the next several hours' time. So lots to worry about here, or lots to be paying very close attention to here right now. I've seen it in the chat, people are wondering about rotation. Now, really, we've been looking at that Lee County storm as one that could potentially be one that could be rotating. So let's zoom into that one a little bit here. Let's take off the warnings here, and let's zoom into that Lee County storm. And I want to make sure that you can see it all right here. So yeah, there we're good. We're pretty good here. Let's zoom into that Lee County storm and let's just see what we see as far as rotation goes. So we're going to go over here into our radar mode and we're going to look at velocities. And basically what you want to look for is you want to look for tightly clustered reds and greens here, and very close to one another. So here we are looking just to the southwest of Stewart, and there, just to the southwest of Stewart, you've got about 6-8 miles per hour of wind going away from the radar. And on the backside, you have only about a 13-14 mile per hour wind heading away from the radar. Now that is counterclockwise rotation, and so that you would want to see for a tornado. Those numbers just don't impress me all that much. But what if we went and looked at the Chicago radar and see if we can maybe get a different picture, because that storm is probably closer to the Chicago radar than it is the Milwaukee radar. Maybe we'll be able to get a little bit more of a better idea of what kind of rotation is taking place over there. And I'm wondering if the Chicago radar might be down here. I have not heard from the National Weather Service about any problems that they've been having with the radar, but you got to wonder, I'm not seeing any data picked up here. So what I'll do here is I'm going to go back to the radar picture in Davenport, the Quad Cities, and we'll take a look at the data coming in, the radar data coming in there. So again, there was some modest rotation showing up within that storm in eastern portions of Lee County, and there were at least some rumblings from the National Weather Service that a tornado would be possible to spin up within that storm. I just don't see that chance being overly high, and I don't understand that we're having some issues here with the radar pictures. So we'll turn the radar off and then we'll turn it back on here. Let's take a look here. So let's first scan this storm. So this is the intensity of the storm, 56.9 dBz. That's a pretty strong storm. It's one that's fairly high topped in the atmosphere. Certainly one that could produce some large hail. But outside of that, there aren't any particularly impressive or tall storms, which is good, which may mean that the hail threat may be coming down just a little bit. Let's turn this radar off and let's try to go back to our Davenport radar site and see if we can get some data coming back in there. They're loading the scan here, and we're about 62% loaded here. So let's hope that we should have that here coming up in just a moment's time. And while we have that loading, let's just put our severe thunderstorm warnings back on just to make sure that we're getting all of the alerts here covered. Good news, the severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect for far northern Winnebago County that included Roscoe and Rockton, that is no longer in effect. So that storm either had weakened or had moved out of the affected area. I tend to think that there's been a weakening trend with that, which would be good news. But for whatever reason, we're having problems getting the radar picture here from our friends at the National Weather Service here. So we're just going to have to go to back to the basic radar here, and we'll try to fix that problem here in time for our next update. But let's just talk about the storms that we are presently worried about. There is one that's over northern or central portions of Winnebago County and just about to cross into Boone County. So north side of Rockford, Loves Park, McChesney Park. And then eventually we're talking about this storm reaching into Poplar Grove, Capron, and should it hold together, this would reach Harvard sometime within the next 60 minutes or thereabouts. So we'll keep a close eye on that. We'll keep a close eye on that as we move forward here in time. Let's see here. All right, so I'll tell you what we're going to do here as I just widen the view here for us real quickly here. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to pause this here for a second. We're going to come back. What did I just do here? I apologize for the, it's kind of a little clunky here right now. This is our first foray into doing these live videos on YouTube. So this is going to take a little bit of practice with this new graphics package and setup that we have here. Um, so it's kind of like riding a bike, where we got to do it for a couple of times before we really get the hang of it here. But folks in Poplar Grove, Capron, Harvard will have to watch out for the possibility. Again, half-dollar size hail, as well as 60-mile-per-hour winds. Still that stronger storm that's just to the north of Pawpaw, heading straight for the town of Lee, and then Shabana and Waterman, maybe Hinckley as well. That would be in DeKalb County. So we're looking at you around 5:30 to 5:47. So folks down there will want to be on the lookout for the possibility of some rather nasty storms there as well. What we're going to do is we're going to take a break here. We're going to stop streaming, and we'll come back live when we have some new warnings to pass along, and hopefully some new radar data to share with you as well. Again, if you are joining us here on YouTube, or if you're joining us through Facebook, you're actually watching this on YouTube Live. And we would encourage you to head to this the Mark Henderson's Weather Hub on YouTube Live. This is the only platform where we can stream live right now. Facebook has said that we have to wait 60 days before we can stream live on the Facebook page on Mark Henderson's Weather Hub on Facebook. So this is going to be the place for the live video updates. We'll link them to Facebook. It just might be a little harder for you to get here. So just make sure you subscribe to this page, Mark Henderson's Weather Hub, here on YouTube, and we will go live here whenever is necessary here. So we are going to pause this here for now, and again, we'll come back here momentarily as new information does come in here to the Weather Hub. In the meantime, thanks so much for joining us. Take care and be safe and stay weather aware. And we'll be back from the Weather Hub here shortly. Bye-bye now.